afternoon, folks. Before I call this meeting to order, I would like to note for the record that I will serve as acting chairman of this meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Statewide Local Development Corporation for Thursday, June 23rd, 2016. The directors have received written materials in advance of this meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. I'd like to note that we welcome public comments on the items on the following agenda to ensure maximum opportunity for participation. Speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes. Speakers representing group may speak up to 4 minutes with one speaker per group. Speakers' comments may only address the items being considered at today's meeting. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, I will ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such item. Hearing none, the first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the April 21st, 2016 directors meeting. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I would like to now call upon Antov Badigian to represent an item relating to the removal and appointment of officers of the corporation. Antov.
Thank you, Kevin. The directors are asked to remove Mahul Patel from the office of president and Margaret Tobin from the office of senior vice president, and to appoint Kevin Eunice as president. This is naturally a housekeeping matter, but we always have ESD's chief operating officer act as Statewide's president as well. So,
Great. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? I guess I would just thank Mehul and Margaret for their service, and thank you for the nomination.
Thank you.
If there are no comments, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. The motion carries. I would like to call upon Ray Salaverios to present an item relating to the creation of the Loans to Lender program. Ray,
Thank you, Kevin. According to a report published in May 2014 and prepared by the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Cornell University, an analysis of the New York State economy for 2011 confirmed that the agricultural production, support services, and manufacturing directly generated $37.6 billion in economic activity within the agriculture industry, creating 115,000 jobs and $9.8 billion in gross domestic product. A statement of legislative findings in the New York Job Development Statute acknowledges that the agriculture industry is one of the largest industries in the state. Furthermore, it notes that the agriculture industry growth is often impaired by high interest rates and the inability of agribusiness firms to attract investment capital at reasonable terms and conditions. With that in mind, the New York State Legislature has specifically authorized JDA to create a loan to lender program. To remain successful, agribusiness firms need to effectively and continuously adapt to changing economic conditions, consumer preferences, and technological advancements in order to retain or grow their share of the consumer food dollar. Small agribusinesses require aggressive and innovative financing methods to expand existing facilities, purchase new machinery and equipment, to expand existing markets, and develop new markets for their commodities and products. The proposed JDA Loans to Lender Fund will attempt to address the financing needs of New York State's agribusiness firms by providing access to capital within a range of $50,000 to $200,000. Traditional banks have historically not made loans to this sector of the industry. Many of the federal agriculture programs are geared toward farmers and agriculture production affiliated directly with farms. The small agribusinesses that the fund would seek to assist are not necessarily located within rural communities and may not be directly affiliated with farms. Description of the few major capital providers in the agricultural financing business is provided for the directors to review. To address and help alleviate the economic barriers faced by many small New York agribusiness owners, staff is seeking the director's approval to establish a $10 million loans to lender program, which will be capitalized with existing available JDA funds. The JDA Loans to Lender Fund will target agribusiness firms that are looking to scale up but have limited opportunities aside from their own capital contributions. There will also be a strong focus to finance agricultural and food businesses' capital project needs by funding requests for equipment and hard assets, which are essential to their success. The fund will also consider working capital loans. The requested $10 million JDA capital will be utilized to make low-interest loans to selected third-party lenders, as per the requirements of the JDA statutes. The loan capital will help expand the selected lender's capital base and increase access to capital for New York State agribusiness owners. I must note, while initially requesting up to $10 million in JDA capital, staff will only utilize $6 million of the approved $10 million for the first 5 years in order to assess the success of the program. Loans to these selected lenders will be made at an interest rate of 1% with a 10-year term. Terms may be extended if performance standards, as established by JDA staff and articulated within the loan agreements, are met. The fund will offer selected lenders in different sections of New York State up to $2 million in loans to be earmarked for lending under the fund. Prospective participating lenders could be, and I listed the participating lenders, prospective lenders. Each selected lender will submit financial statements and go through a complete financial review process to ascertain whether it has a solid capital base, the financial capabilities to repay the JDA loan, and a history of lending to the agriculture business. The loan terms will be all loan funds will be deployed within 18 to 24 months. Terms of the loans to lenders will be 10 years, and at the JDA staff discretion, an extension up to 4 years could be granted if the borrower is not in default of loan agreement. Loan advance will be subject to the agreed upon provisions of the loan agreement, and funds will be advanced in 3 installments to be dispersed within 24 months of the signed loan agreement. The initial advance will be 33.3% of the loan amount. The second advance will be for an additional 33.3%, and the third advance will be equal to the undispersed portion of the loan. For the second and third advances, the borrower will have to represent that it has dispersed at least 70% of the aggregate of the previous advances. The lenders will cap interest rates charged to potential borrowers at 8.5%. Staff recommends approval of the JDA Loans to Lender program based on the fact that New York State agriculture industry is an economic engine driving growth and expanding opportunity. The JDA Loans to Lender program will provide support for crucial funding to projects designed to help agribusiness expand and grow their operations while creating and retaining employment throughout New York State. Thank you. Any questions?
Great. Thank you, Ray. Any questions, Edmund?
Yeah, Ray, this is the creation of a loan program.
Right.
And $6 million over the first 5 years, and then assessed to see whether or not the balance should go out.
Right.
Who is ESD going to have a voice in who gets these particular loans, or is it all going to be determined by the groups that get these?
It will be determined by the groups that get the loans from us. We selected lenders that we believe had the expertise that we may not have in the agribusiness market to make a determination as to who should not. The expectation is going to be, though, that we're going to be involved in sending them borrowers by constantly being in contact with the Brewers Association, the Distillery Association, and the Wine and Spirits Association throughout the state. So we'll be sending them folks for their processing.
So the assessment of the success of the program is going to be fed with data that we get from the groups that we give these loans.
Yes.
We would establish the broad parameters of sort of the eligible universe
Right.
that they could make the loans
That
to.
will be articulated in the loan agreement. We're going to mirror the existing Small Business Revolving Loan Fund. The note will be similar to the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund. The Small Business Revolving Loan Fund also allocated money in this manner, and it's wildly successful except it was earmarked for a different segment of the population. We're going to do the same thing, but earmark it directly for the agribusiness world.
And the 5-year assessment period, that's essentially needed because that would be like the term of these loans that we repaid over that period.
Well, we expect, loan terms probably, it could be anywhere from 7 to 10 years, but they have 2 years to get the money out. So within the 2 years afterwards, we'll be able to determine, okay, how successful was this program? If we make a determination because the money hasn't been lent out, we may rethink about continuing the program. But the idea is to give them an opportunity. They have to rev themselves up, do their marketing in between the first 2 years to get the opportunity to get the money out. Year 3 and 4 is when we expect to see what kind of activity they're really generating. But they'll be required to report to us every 6 months what they're doing, just like we do now with most of our programs.
So every 6 to 12 months, every 6 months we'll be able to get some data back.
Yes.
So we're not necessarily obligated to provide the full $6 million
No.
in the 5 years?
Absolutely not. I believe the way we're going to allocate the funds is give them a portion of the money and then see how they do with that small portion. We do 33% at the outset, and depending on how they do with that first 33%, we'll determine whether they're going to move forward with the second tranche of funds. We'll be in contact with them, similar to the way the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund is being run, even the Bridge Success Program, where we're mirroring that template, where we pick lenders, we give them a pool of access of dollars, and then we monitor the success rate and how they are implementing the program.
I have a question right here. In terms of why is action by the statewide LDC or the board necessary? This is not generally, is this required per JDA statute, or that in order for us to do this type of program, we have to specifically authorize it?
Yeah, typically, projects come to the JDA board via an LDC. This is actually a statutory requirement. And oftentimes, Statewide Local Development Corporation is the LDC that is used to bring those projects to the JDA board. So in contemplation, I think, of those projects having to come via statewide to the JDA board, those projects from this loan program, statewide approval is appropriate.
I get that why we're here. I understand that has to be advanced
Right.
through an LDC, but the larger JDA sort of governing statute, that requires, so we couldn't just do this under the current construct of the JDA?
I think
program?
in the way the JDA is structured, every time we plan on utilizing JDA funds has to be approved by the board. Normally, our projects, as you'll see down the next project, are large in scope. Individual projects, $5 million.
Yeah.
Here, what we're saying is we need the board's approval to contemplate using up to $10 million. And so the board will have to review this, just like statewide reviewing now, to make sure it meets the guidelines of JDA and makes statutory sense.
I was looking at the resolution, and it talks about, copy of which is here, first in the first clause, the relating to the Minority Women Revolving Loan Trust Fund Program, Minority Women Owned Business Development and Lending Program. I don't see any mention of either the MW, the Revolving Loan Trust Fund, or the Minority Women Owned Business Development and Lending Program, and anywhere else in the documents. I just didn't know what that was in reference to.
Yeah, that should be changed to this loans to lenders program that's being contemplated right now.
Right. This is the resolution should be loans to lenders.
Okay. So what do we do in this case in terms of the actions of the board?
That should be corrected. JDA Agricultural Loan Fund Program should be placed where you see minority and women-owned business development and lending program.
And for purposes of our actions today, what do we need to do to ensure that this is an appropriate action that reflects that the resolution should say that?
Yeah, I think you just did it, and then that would be sufficient. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But also, Kevin, expand that a little bit further, also the language suggests here that these are grants being made. In the fifth line.
Yeah, it looks as if we just put
Copied it
maybe
from
the
this
wrong
one.
resolution or wrong paragraph of sort of a cutting and
Yeah.
pasting
Yeah.
effort here.
Yeah, these are not going to be grants. These are loans to these organizations who will then in turn lend the money out. So we have to amend that.
So maybe we just
In the
take a
second
breather.
paragraph, too.
Right, so maybe we just take a breather and just read it properly into the record, if that makes sense.
Do you have like an actual paragraph that reflects what we want to do here?
No, I can draft one.
No. Okay, look, council, if you're comfortable that we,
yeah, any-
what we're gonna do is we'll talk about a vote here, and we'll talk about the edits that are necessary to be in here consistent
Sure.
with.
Yeah, approval can be subject to changes to the resolution reflecting that this is approval of the JDA Agriculture Loan Fund Program.
Edwin, do you have
That's
any
it.
further comments or concerns?
I think that if we're going to get the data back every 6 months, I do think that we should look at that carefully to make sure that that is moving along
Absolutely.
well, that it's progressing well.
But that's the intention. The intention is to monitor the program and flag anything that we see that might be irregular.
Right.
And I would say, Ray and I talked a little bit about this last night. Ray's been working closely with Ag and Markets and with the folks in that space who understand the need. And I think we're fairly confident that there's a real need here and a real opportunity to do something good.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll want to, as with all our programs, make sure that we're doing it and doing it right. But
Right.
it sounds like it certainly is something that
I believe so.
can fill a gap. All right. Any comments from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval. Obviously, the approval would be reflecting the changes that are necessary to the resolution with regard to this loan to lender program. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Now Ray will present an item relating to the Integral Company. Ray?
Thank you, Kevin. The proposed report concerns a proposed JDA loan in the amount of $5,700,000. The $5,700,000 loan is to be used toward the purchase of land and the construction of a new facility located in Webster, New York. The total cost of the project is $33,150,000. A second lien on the to-be-constructed real estate located at Webster Avenue, and second liens on the existing facilities located in Albion, New York, and Porterville, New York. The post-construction appraised value of the collateral in Webster, New York is expected to be $33.15 million. The appraised value of the collateral in Albion, New York is $14 million, and the appraised value of the collateral in Porterville, New York is $2.5 million. JDA will take a second position on $5.7 million, Farm Credit East taking the first and third positions on $16 and $7 million respectively. I have to bring it to your attention that in the JDA budget, the way this is broken out, Farm Credit East will have 48% of the project in first position. JDA will have 17% of the project in second position, and then Farm Credit East will have the balance of $7 million in third position. We had it structured this way to adhere to the statutory requirements that JDA be no more than 50% junior to any loan in the project's cost. Integral Holding Company is a hydroponic tomato grower that produces and sells high-quality tomatoes on the vine and beefsteak tomatoes on a wholesale basis to large retail grocery chains located throughout the eastern United States, including Wegmans, Hannaford, and Aldi's. The company began its operation in 1998 with a facility in Porterville, New York. The success of that operation led to a construction of a similar operation in 2003 in the town of Gaines, New York. In 2014, the company expanded the Gaines facility, adding a 7.5 acre greenhouse. Integral also added grow lights on 25 acres, aligned for the company to extend its growing season capacities and remain competitive in the marketplace. The $14 million project was completed in early 2015, and the facility now totals 55 acres. Combined with the Portersville greenhouse, Integral now has 69 greenhouse acres. With growing demand for its product and solid profitability, Integral has made the decision to significantly expand its operations with the new town of Webster facility. The company will purchase a 115-acre site and develop a total of 25 acres of growing and support space. This is expected to be supplemented in 2019 by a second phase on the Webster site of an additional 25 acres. The 50 acres will be added to the existing total of 69 acres, allowing production to be increased by over 50%. New employment is estimated to be 100 new permanent full-time employees, 50 in Phase 1, 50 in Phase 2. All permanent employees receive company-paid health insurance at 70% of cost, paid holidays, and paid vacation time. The project would include growing, packing, and administrative space, the purchase and installation of lighting, heating, and irrigation systems, and the purchase of new machinery and equipment. The Webster expansion will allow Integral to provide more locally grown produce to satisfy the Northeast region's growing demand for year-round production. Food safety, product quality, and traceability are extremely important to produce consumers who highly value the locally grown produce and service Integral provides. Based on the company's 1A rating, Integral currently generates sufficient cash flow from operations to service all the projected debt, with a projected debt service coverage of 1.2%. Staff believes the company is fiscally strong, revenue growth has been strong, and cash flow projections indicate the company will be able to service the debt going forward. As mentioned before, JDA will have a second lien position on the to-be-constructed real estate collateral in Webster, the real estate collateral in Albion, and the real estate collateral in Portersville. Thus, there will be sufficient security for JDA to completely collateralize the project. Integral meets JDA's loan-to-value requirement at 9%. With the project, Integral expects capacity to increase significantly from existing levels. At the completion of the project, 150 full-time jobs will be retained, and it's expected that 15 new jobs will be created over the 5-year period. For those reasons, we believe that this loan request should be approved.
Great. Thank you, Ray. Are there questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? I had one point of just trying to clarify. The loan is related to activity at the Webster location?
Yes.
But the liens are on the Albion, Portageville, and Webster?
We normally try to take a lien on all the assets and get corporate guarantees from everybody we lend to. This project, because of the size and scope of it, we wanted to make sure that we can, make sure we have lien protection on every piece of asset the company has. So they agreed to doing that. Farm Credit East, who is senior lenders, also agreed to that. We're also getting personal guarantees from all the owners of the company.
Great. I read through some of this stuff last night, and it was kind of neat. They collect the rainwater for use in the facility. They collect the carbon from any of the heating elements. They bring in hives of bees to pollinate. It's just kind of an interesting story.
It's very interesting. I went to visit them in the facility and was taken aback by the size and scope of the project. Yeah. The fact of the matter is that these tomatoes, not only are they delicious, but they're plentiful. And the idea that consumers can now buy tomatoes year-round is something that makes this project attractive to agriculture throughout the state.
Yeah, we grow some in the backyard, and you compare what you eat out of the garden compared to what you often have to buy in the store in November and December. It's a world of difference in a product. Great. Any comments from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Thank you.
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Lastly, Ray will conclude our agenda by presenting an item relating to the Empire Farmstead Brewery.
Thank you, Kevin. In October of 2014, the JDA board approved a $3,594,300 JDA loan for the benefit of Empire Farmstead Brewery, consisting of a $2.2 $2,196,000 real estate loan, and a $1,398,300 machinery and equipment loan. We've included the prior materials for the director's review. In November of 2015, the JDA board approved an additional $450,000 JDA loan for the benefit of Empire Farmstead Brewery. As of March 2016, the project is nearing completion, and the owner has again come to JDA to request authorization of an additional $450,000 in JDA funds, which will be used to take out 60% of an additional $750,000 loan needed to complete the project. If approved, this will bring the total JDA loan amount to $4,449,300. $2,646,000 of it is real estate. $1,848,300 is machinery and equipment. There are various needs and circumstances that have made additional funding necessary for the project to be completed. The Town of Casanova Code Inspector informed the business owner in early 2016 of the necessity to cover the entire complex with a sprinkler system, not just a tasting room as originally planned. This contributed to an additional $46,000 in water treatment system and an additional $75,000 in pneumatic piping to the overall budget. Additionally, the local water was found to be unsuitable for mass production. Once the owner was able to prepare and taste a first batch of beer, he realized that the water wasn't up to spec. To remedy this, a $36,000 yeast pitch fermenter and a $55,000 clean and place pipe installation were required. We had listed the entire purchases and additional work that is to be done that totals $750,000. Of note is the final interior contract, which came in $250,000 over the initial budgeted figures. There were some changes that needed to be done. When I went to visit the facility, they were still working on it. Some of the original architectural designs really didn't work, so they had to come back and make them up to code. They need to fix the front entrance because it was, if it rained, you just cover, it was a quagmire of mud. Just so happened when I went up there, it rained, and it was a quagmire of mud. Yes. So they had to go lay out a new groundwork to get that done. Based on conversations with the lead bank and the business owner, JDA staff has determined that the project is 90% completed. The company has made evident progress thus far at the site, investing substantial equity thus far. And if JDA does not allow for the increased financing, the participating bank, Community Bank, will not extend its portion of the additional funds necessary to complete the project. The projected debt service coverage with the increased amount is still well within the JDA guidelines. JDA staff recommend approval of the additional amount.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? I guess my question, there's obviously, we're back 3 times from the initial loan. Does that concern you? Is that a normal, when you were presented a project, we provided this loan for a project as originally conceived. Does it concern you at all that we were back 3 times to increase the amount?
It was our initial concern, and which led for me to go up to visit the site because they came back to us after we had gone forth to the board and got the original $450,000 approved. When they came back to us, I said, "There's no way we're going to go back to get this done." I said, "You can't have this additional $450." Spoke to the bank. They wanted me to come up. We had the conversations. The bank was okay with it. They understood what some of the cost overruns were. I did have a conversation with the town inspector of Casanova. Interesting in that my question to him was, why did it take so long for the town to come out there and tell them that? Because really that's part of the project here, is that they had to do the sprinkler system, and then they didn't find out about the water quality because the town will allow them to test the water. So although I wouldn't want to blame the town of Casanova for all the cost overruns, but there were some issues involved with town management and some how this project was moving forward. But they were able to overcome it. We spoke to the bank. We wanted to make sure the bank's on board. The bank has approved their amount, subject to us approving our amount. And the bank has already allowed the first tranche to go out, and they're just waiting for us to give them the approval so they can open up the spigot for the second amount.
No pun intended.
I know. I'm sorry about that.
Great. All right. And are there any other comments from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion.
Second carried. Thank you for everyone for your participation.
Thank you.